And this is your PreAP English 1 to Kill a Mockingbird podcast video helper. You're going to go to readylibrary.com and you're going to scroll down until you see PreAP English 1 to Kill a Mockingbird podcast. You're going to click on that, and then you are going to scroll down to where it says click here. You're going to scroll over to where it says click here. You're going to click on the click here. It is going to take you into the Mac and VIA group for this project. Up here in the instructions block, you'll see this assignment sheet. You can open up this assignment sheet, and on it are the instructions for this assignment. It gives you your introduction and your objectives, your task, and then you are going to look at this part first, the tech menu and the planning doc. Ms. Drew is going to explain about podcasts. She's going to talk about examples of podcasts, etc. But this document right here where it says podcast outline planning, this is the one you need for this project. So you're going to open up this document and it's going to look like this, creating a podcast episode planning doc. Ms. Drew is going to walk you through some of this, but essentially you are going to choose a topic from here. These are themes that resonate in To Kill a Mockingbird, and then you're going to be researching those themes to come up with your ideas about those themes, how they relate to you, and how they relate to current events that you can discuss throughout the course of your podcast. So, back over here, your research. You can collect your research notes right here, so you can type things in right here as you encounter them that are important to you. And then your works cited is embedded in this document. So this is where your works cited page starts right here. And so right here above where it says basic rules, this is where you're going to copy and paste any and all citations for information that you're going to use in your podcast. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down a little bit because Ms. Drew is going to talk about writing your script, creating your logo, all these things. But I want to scroll down here to the digital citizenship tips. You are going to be talking about some events, current events, themes from To Kill a Mockingbird that you may be pulling ideas from research that you do about those current events or about those themes. And so you need to make sure that if you're sharing someone else's idea or information about a current event that you got from a source, in your podcast, you're going to need to say the name of the source. Like, I read an article in Newsweek. And then say what it is that you read about. If there's an author, I read an article in Newsweek by, Joshua Smith. That said, okay, so you're going to incorporate that into your podcast, but you must up here take some notes and cite those sources that you're using in your podcast up here. I'm also going to talk to you about images and things like that, but I wanted to point that out to you at the bottom of your project sheet, okay? All right, so back over here to the Mac and VIA group, you have some other resources in here. So if you are going to use, like I have a website in here, All Sides, if you're going to use something like that, then you might want to make sure that you use your Cite This For Me Chrome extension if you're in an article from All Sides. Any of these other sources will provide citations for you. As you make your podcast too, I just want to point out a couple of things. There is a link to Anchor in here, and there's a link to Canva, which are some resources that Ms. Drew is going to talk about that you can use to create your podcast. Down here are a couple of other sources, the Noun Project and Unsplash, that you may use to create your logo for your podcast. So, the Noun Project and Unsplash, neither one do you have to necessarily put a citation on your works cited page. However, both the Noun Project, if you download an icon, it does put the person that contributed the icon, so you need to leave that on or near the icon whenever you use that in your logo. With Unsplash, these are copyright-free photos, and you can share a thanks to them on social media when you take a photo from Unsplash, or you can even put the credit of who created. You'll notice over here on Miss Drew's image right here, this photo is by Jonathan Velasquez on Unsplash, so you can put that on your photo. So those are some of the options that you have, especially if you're creating your logo in Canva. You can add those credits as part of your logo. Okay, it's really important though, since you guys are putting this podcast out online for others to be able to see, that you don't just go to Google and grab whatever images or icons you want and throw it in your project. We want to make sure that we're being cognizant of copyright and things like that. All right, so I have a few sources in here I just want to talk about for just a second. I'm going to talk about this when I intro the lesson, but these are your different types of sources. For this particular type of source, you're probably going to be looking for news articles in magazines and other news sources for your current events. For your themes, if you're looking for assistance with connecting the themes from To Kill a Mockingbird to your topic, you may want to pull some lit crit, which would come from academic or scholarly journals or dissertations. Okay, so we are going to come back over here to our Mac and V group now, and I'm going to show you where those different kinds of sources live. Okay, so this first source right here, this Bloom's Guide to Kill a Mockingbird, this is a lit crit where they break down aspects of the novel. So there are critical essays in this book about the novel. Should you choose to use any information from this, all you have to do is click on this cite button right here and then copy and paste this MLA 8 citation right here and put that right here on your works cited page. Okay, so that is the Bloom's Guide, which you are welcome to use. I'm just going to open it really quickly and show you a couple of things here. So if I click on these three little lines, it's going to give me the table of contents, and you'll see that here are historical conditions of the novel, moral meanings of the left and right in the novel. So depending on what you're looking at, you may want to look specifically at one of these essays. Okay? All right, and so then over here, we have some other sources for lit crit as well. So you can use the Gale Literary. Alright, so here is literary sources. So I can put in here To Kill a Mockingbird and click on this. I want to do the novel. And so then you'll notice that over here it tells me there's 328 lit crit or literature criticism items in here. There's topic and work overviews, there's primary sources and literary works, etc. So depending on what I'm looking for, I can use any of these. So let's just say I'm going to use this particular article right here. I can click on it. And then if I use information from this, I'm going to use the citation tools. And I'm going to click on MLA 8, and then I'm going to copy and paste this information into my works cited page. Okay, so that is that one. I can also use the Literature Resource Center, which is here, and again I can put in To Kill a Mockingbird novel, click search. And then you'll notice there are 75 lit crit, some biographies, topic and work overviews, etc. This works the same way. I can pull my citation the same way from those two sources. Okay. So now for current events, if you want to, so let's say I'm doing prejudice, okay, and I want to talk about current events with prejudice. Okay, so in these databases, you're not necessarily going to be able to put the word prejudice. You're going to have to know, like, am I looking, the civil rights movement, that was obviously in the past. But what I need is to find a current example of prejudice and pull it in here. So you may want to do some preliminary Google searching, prejudice, in 2019 or something like that, and see what comes up as far as current events. And then you can come into this database and type in that kind of thing. Okay. Same thing with opposing viewpoints in context and info-track newsstands. So whenever I come in here, so let's just say I'm going to research. I'm going to put something in here about I'm just going to click on this. I'm going to click on this gun control. I'm going to explore this topic. Okay, so I'm going to click on this, but let's say that you put in your specific topic. I just don't want to, give too much away in this video. So you'll notice over here, here are the different types of information sources that you have for. So depending on what type of information you're looking for will depend on what types of sources that you pull. For your current events and your these topics, you're probably going to want to look in news and magazines. These are going to be sources that are going to give you the most current sources. And what you can do is when you click on these, instead of, it's always going to default to relevant, you can go to newest. And so when you click on newest and sort them that way, then it's going to pull things like this is from February 22nd, 2019, February 16th, 2019. So you're going to find more current relevant articles that way. Okay, so you can do that in InfoTrack Newsstand, Opposing, Viewpoints and Context, and Student Resources. Okay, all three of these are going to give you that. The good thing about Opposing, Viewpoints and Context as PreAP students, you are going to be able to pull a topic and then find views on both sides. So for instance, if you and your collaborator want to talk about on your podcast like point counterpoint type stuff, you might want to pull some Opposing Viewpoints articles. Same thing with All Sides. All Sides is a great source for that if you want to pull one side of a topic and then talk about the other side. So those are some sources that are going to be available to you for this assignment in your Mac and VIA group. Again, I just want to reiterate the fact that you are using this document to house your notes and then also to house your citations. And then you want to make sure that anything that you are pulling, you're being good digital citizens with, and you're giving credit where credit is due for ideas, images, all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so I just wanted to again reiterate those important points. All right, good luck, Lions.